I'm Dr. Barry, licensed psychologist, and here I share legal and entertainment news from a psychological perspective. So, this case came up on my algorithm, and I didn't really click on it, and I continued scrolling. And a viewer commented asking if I could look into this case and just provide some general thoughts, some general analysis on what could be happening in a situation like this. This is my disclaimer. This is not a psychological evaluation. I do not know exactly what's going on with this individual, and my heart truly breaks for the victim's family. I believe the mother in this case is continuing to recover, and at the end of this video, we're going to hear from the victim's father. So, this is the case of Bionca Ellis. And right now, I'll give you all the trigger warning. This case involves the death of a 3-year-old boy, and it was very violent. It seems completely random and senseless, which can make these types of situations even more triggering. So, if you need to hop off and come back to another video, I totally understand. On June 3rd, 2024, around 3 p.m., Bionca Ellis stole 2 knives from the Volunteers of America thrift store, which was right next to a giant eagle. And this case comes out of Ohio. After obtaining this, she walked into the door of the giant eagle and is seen kind of going back and forth. We will play a portion of that video. And she spotted a mother and her 3-year-old child exiting the store. She followed them immediately. And what she did next, I have to be careful due to certain words on YouTube getting restricted. And so it's horrific. The 3-year-old is no longer with us. And his mother is continuing to recover. She attempted to pull him out, and she was also harmed by Bianca. She's been charged with 1 count of aggravated capital M, 2 counts of capital M, 2 counts of attempted, 2 counts of felonious assault, 1 count of endangering a child, and 1 count of tampering with evidence. And originally her bond was at 1 million, and we are going to watch her hearing, her initial, I think, indictment, where the judge ends up increasing that, understandably at the request of Julian's father. So let's go into some of this coverage because it sounds like a few days before this incident that she was arrested on a probation violation and released. And she did not have any aggressive or violent history that we are aware of at this point. I will have the full links to these videos down in the description. This coverage is from 19 News.
4 days before that, police have released video of that arrest. Dan DeRose joining us now with that. And police have to really investigate all of this, Dan, as they try to get justice for this family.
And people may ask at home, why are we continuing this story? It's because there are so many questions. Who is this person? How could it be done at random and with no association with the mom or that 3-year-old little boy? Who is Bionca Ellis? We know that the attack happens right here in North Olmsted in the Giant Eagle parking lot, but it's 4 days prior. So we're talking last Monday that right here on this corner, it's actually this corner right here out front of the Walmart, that police have an interaction with Bionca Ellis. She is in a wheelchair. She can walk herself in her wheelchair. Someone has called 911 saying she looked like she may need some help. Officers find her on the sidewalk there, have an interaction with her. They get her ID, but it turns out she has a warrant for her arrest. Now, you're about to watch this interaction with police. You can judge for yourself. I've seen hundreds of arrests on tape, and this one seems to be fairly routine.
Hello. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm going over here to the bus stop.
You're okay though? Somebody called because they were concerned about you.
Yeah, I kind of get lightheaded from my medicine.
5221, I'm out. Do you need assistance at all? Or you need an ambulance or anything? Are you feeling all right?
No, I think the temperatures is getting to be just right.
Okay.
So some of her responses to those questions, knowing what we know now, I wonder if the officer would go back and do anything different. Now, just because an individual is having psychosis or just because an individual is experience a mental health issue, that does not necessarily mean that they will go to a hospital or that they will go anywhere. They have to be an imminent risk to themselves or someone else. And I think at this moment, nobody is really seeing or knowing what's gonna follow. But her comments about the weather, that just seemed odd to me.
Do you have an ID on you just so I can tell them that you're all right? Thank you. Copy. All right, Bianca, you know you got warrants. Girl, I don't know. They're
probably for here, yeah.
Yeah, so we got to check on those, all right? You got anything crazy on you? No guns, knives, drugs, bombs, nothing like that? All right, I'm going to cuff you in the front, okay? That's fair?
And so you'll notice she's doing something with her hands, and that's not something that a person would normally do when they're being arrested. Once again, that's not necessarily meaning that somebody is going to be aggressive or that there's going to be a problem down the road. But some of her behaviors, because we're going to see her behavior in court, and it seems like she's smiling, like she's making light of the situation. And I'm watching this all with you all, and I do think there will be some type of mental health assessment that's done to determine if she's competent to stand trial. And what competent to stand trial means is just that a person understands the charges against them, that they understand the court process, who the judge is, who their lawyer is, the fact that they need to cooperate with their lawyer. Lori Vallow was initially not found competent to stand trial because it seems like she was not fully cooperating with her own attorney who was trying to assist in her defense. And so sometimes that competency is restored through medication and therapy if somebody is found to not be competent. That has not come up yet. In the hearings that we'll see, you do hear somebody mention reaching out to a social worker and reaching out for mental health services. I always like to do this reminder that just because a person has a mental health condition does not mean that they will be aggressive. That most individuals that are living with a mental health condition are not a risk to other people. Sometimes they might be a risk to themselves. Um, but this is something that we see, and I'm wondering if there is some psychosis that's building or within that interaction of like because she goes by to the police station immediately before the incident at the Giant Eagle. She goes to the police station and says that the police stole from her, and they didn't. Like, she says that they stole money from her, and that comes off delusional and possibly psychotic. I do still think that she can be held responsible for her behavior, and I don't like those are just my personal thoughts. I have not assessed her. A forensic psychologist would sit down, and sometimes it's up to a jury to determine if somebody does do a not guilty by reason of insanity, if somebody does do that defense, and that defense is available in the state of Ohio. If somebody does do that type of defense, then it is a very lengthy process. There is prosecution experts, there are defense experts, and if the prosecution experts are like, "No, this person is not," then they typically go to trial and they try to fight it for justice for the family, because there is a difference. If somebody is found in GRI, not guilty by reason of insanity, they typically go to a state hospital for treatment versus going to jail. And they stay in that hospital depending on the state, depending because um, there are different ways that a person can be released eventually if they ever are deemed to be safe by the facility. But when somebody's done a crime that's this horrific, they're normally there for like 20, 30, or more years. It's normally a very, very long time because that facility also doesn't want to release somebody prematurely and then something happen again.
Go ahead, face me for a second. Right here. Thank you, ma'am. I don't want to pinch you.
As you saw, she went willingly, didn't interact with police in any strange way.
And to me, some of her behavior did seem a little strange. That's just to me. And once again, that's me looking back, knowing what happened. There is a video of her in the giant eagle. I'm not going to play that entire video, but I do just want to play a clip from that.
Newly released surveillance camera footage shows the 32-year-old suspect, Bionca Ellis, stalking a woman and her child inside a North Olmsted, Ohio grocery store.
So it looks as though she's just walking around the store with this very large weapon. And this is a situation because sometimes people don't want to be a Karen or they don't want to call for a situation. But why is she just walking around the store with a weapon like this? Like, that is concerning. And I think that's where we have to balance reporting behavior that is clearly suspicious because it's not hidden, it's just out in the open. And I could see a defense expert saying that she wasn't in her right mind potentially, that she's walking around like this with it open. I could see a defense expert probably saying that she was in this altered state. I don't know. So we're gonna take a look at what happened at the police station right before. Once again, this coverage is coming from 19 News.
It is a shocking crime that has all of Northeast Ohio thinking of a little boy and his family. First at 4, we have new video giving a glimpse of his accused killer's background as investigators.
And I will try to find the GoFundMe and put it in the description as long as I can verify that it's accurate. If that GoFundMe is still active, I'll make sure to put that in the description of this video.
Try to get justice for Julian and his family. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicole Versansky.
And I'm Brian Duffy. At 3, we showed you police picking up Bionca Ellis just days before the attack in the Giant Eagle parking lot. Now, new at 4, Dan DeRose back with when she returns to that police department now about 30 minutes before the attack.
Yeah, so the only reason we're doing this is trying to show the placement of this, the timing of this. We were told by detectives earlier this week that Bionca Ellis had been in their lobby just about a half an hour before the attack. So how is that possible? And what was her demeanor? We'll get to that in a second. But I want to put in relationship for you where we're talking about. Here is the North Olmsted Police Department. You're going to see her around there. And then you're going to see the moment that she leaves there and she heads for the Volunteers of America. This is where Bionca, according to prosecutors, stole 2 knives and then went into the Giant Eagle, was in there for all of about 1 minute and 30 seconds when she came out following the mother and child. Take a look at the video, though. A half an hour before the attack, you can see the timestamp in the upper left-hand corner. She walks herself around with a wheelchair. She comes into the lobby. There is no audio here. This was given to us by the police station. She is telling police that when she was arrested last Thursday, they took some of her cash. They ask her for an ID. They look at her ID. They say, no, we don't have your cash. And she calmly leaves. She doesn't cause a scene. She's only in the police station for all of about 3 or 4 minutes. You can see her now leave with her wheelchair. And it's about here that she makes a decision. She ditches the wheelchair. You can see her hopping, skipping down the stairs at the police station. And it is.
And this is where, if I was the prosecution, this would seem premeditated because then she goes and steals a weapon. And then she goes and picks out somebody at random and does what she did. And so that's where it does seem premeditated. And was this about the money that she thought was stolen? Like this truly does not make any sense. And when things don't make sense, sometimes it's like, is this psychosis? Like, what is going on here? And until somebody sits down and meets with her and determines her mental state at the time of the offense, her mental state now, that is the only way that we'll get any of these answers.
It is from here that she walks herself across the street to the shopping complex. What happened between the end of that meeting with police that led her to make that trip across the street to Volunteers of America, we may never know. But the video that's inside the Giant Eagle that we have chosen not to show really just shows that she picked that mother and child at random and followed them into the parking lot. Nikki?
Now let's get to her behavior during the court hearing. So initially, she is not represented by counsel. Her counsel is not there. And the judge is going to ask the public defender's office to go and talk with her.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ashlyn Kara on behalf of Miss Ellis. We would like.
Me, I'm going to ask her the questions.
Oh, sure.
Miss Ellis? Miss Ellis?
And she's sitting there with her head down.
Miss Ellis?
Yeah.
Please raise your head.
Where is it coming from?
I just need to ask
And she asked, "Where is it coming from?" And they're going to bring her into court. After this, they're going to bring her into the actual courtroom.
you a few questions. I need to make sure you understand them. Do you have an attorney?
I'm looking for one.
Okay. Do you have the money or means to hire an attorney?
Repeat that.
Do you have the money or means to hire an attorney?
Possible.
Okay.
I don't know that she has the money to hire an attorney.
Have you received and read your indictment?
I don't know.
You don't know if you've received it? Have you received it?
This is where competence could potentially come, because a defendant should be able to answer these basic questions. And this isn't coming off because oppositional is Darrell Brooks just refusing to answer. There seems to be more happening here. Once again, I do not think that mental health is an excuse. It just sometimes helps me understand what might be happening in a particular moment. And she seems to be a person that's possibly living with a serious mental health condition.
Ma'am, just tell me whether or not you've received it, please. Miss Ellis, we'll be out of here in a few minutes if you just answer these questions.
She's non-responsive.
Miss Ellis, have you received your indictment?
What was her name?
Miss Ellis?
What was her name? The judge. What's the judge's name?
Russo.
Russo?
That's right.
Russo with an R?
Have you received and read your indictment?
That's just coming off. And I don't think this is an act. There have been other situations where the person seemed to be feigning mental illness. I do not think that this is an act. My own personal opinion.
Yes or no? If you haven't received it, I'm going to send it over there. So you need to tell me that. Miss Ellis, why don't you want to answer these questions? All right, we'll come back to her when she's ready to talk to me.
Your Honor, could I just let the court know our office does represent Miss Ellis on another case, and
I understand.
there are some mental health issues, and I do believe they
I'll
have
come
been.
back to her.
Okay, just to clarify, I do believe she hasn't been on her
I will
medication.
come back to her.
Okay.
Back in the courtroom.
Ellis? Miss Ellis? Miss Ellis,
Thank you.
have you received the indictment?
I don't know.
And I don't know who she said thank you to. I'm not sure if that was for the judge or if that was something else. This is coming off potentially psychotic to me. And just looking at this, it takes longer to fully diagnose someone. I would wonder if there was some type of schizophrenia or schizoaffective disorder, or possibly bipolar with psychosis. Those would be the things that I would be ruling out.
Would you like me to send it to you or read it out loud?
Thank you, thank you.
That's not responsive. Would you like me to do either of those things? Ms. Ellis? Do you understand on the indictment that the state has reserved the right to add the death penalty? Do you understand that? Have you read that?
I don't think she's competent.
ASAP.
What's ASAP?
What's video court?
So that's where I'm not sure if she's having some internal, because it seems like she's responding to something that isn't the judge. So that's where I wonder if there's active psychosis in this moment.
Your Honor, we would like to enter a not guilty plea for Ms. Ellis. We would like to waive a reading of the charges, waive any defects in time or manner of service. As I said, our office has reached out to the jail to get mental health services for Ms. Ellis. They were working with her on a previous case, and our social worker has gotten involved. So we would like to ask that counsel be appointed and that the public defender's office be one of those two attorneys, and ask for a reasonable bond.
Has she received the indictment? Have you discussed
She's
it
not
with
getting
her?
bond.
I personally have not, but I do know attorneys from my office did go see her last week, and that there were some notable mental health issues.
Did they go with the indictment?
That I don't know.
Well, then how am I expected to arraign her?
I would like to waive that time period for her.
This could be a capital murder case. I don't think that's appropriate. So if somebody wants to go over there now and go over it with her, I'll hold it.
So the public defender is going to go over and review it with her, and we'll watch the in-person portion. And it sounds like the attorney was asking her to say something specific, and she said, "I'm going to say no." And that's where I don't know if competence is going to come up. But if she's able to be placed on her medication, within a few weeks, she might present differently. But let's keep going.
Hello, Ms. Ellis. Do you have an attorney? You do?
And she's not speaking loud enough for anybody to hear. She's going to whisper these things. So she just whispered, yes.
Do you have the money or means to hire an attorney? Have you received your
And she's now saying that she has the money and means to hire an attorney. I don't think she does.
indictment?
I don't.
Okay. Have you read it?
No.
You have not read it. Okay. We have a copy here.
So the judge is going to read the indictment. I am just going to watch her behavior. Okay, so I'll mute it at the point the judge is
You
going to
can read it.
I don't want to read it.
You don't want to read it. Are you willing to accept that the public defender has read it to you? I'm sorry.
So she is saying she asked the public defender to not read the indictment to her. And the public defender has said that she did read it to her. And the judge, I think to just maintain the record, the judge is going to go on ahead and read it to her. And she is going to display some very, very odd behavior. Please know the father of 3-year-old Julian is in the back of the courtroom. And I was able to find the GoFundMe, and I will be placing that in the description of this video. It has raised over $200,000 so far. My heart just truly, truly breaks for this family. They have a long, long, long road ahead. Child loss is unimaginable, and then to have it done in this senseless way, that adds additional trauma for the family.
You asked her not to. Well, but she did read it to you, correct?
No.
She didn't
And I do think she did read it, but she's sitting here saying, no, the attorney did not read it to her. So
read it to you. Okay, well, we can read it in open court.
and I think what I'm seeing here is severe mental illness, and the I don't care type attitude that she's having in this moment. I don't know her personally. I don't know when she is more stable. I don't know how she interacts or how she behaves. This is not how you would expect a defendant facing the types of charges that she's facing. This is not how you would expect them to behave. And this is likely going to impact the judge putting forward a very high bond. I'm going to mute while the
Okay.
judge is reading it.
It's a 10-count indictment.
It's 10 counts. Wow. And they're sitting here going over it, and she is just like I don't think she wanted to hear it. And she's really just acting like she doesn't care. And once again, so that's the father in the back of the courtroom. That is the father. I'm going to skip ahead. Okay, I'll keep playing from here.
An official proceeding or investigation was in progress or was about to be or likely to be instituted. Alter, destroy, conceal, or remove any record, document, or thing with the purpose to impair its value or availability as evidence in such proceeding or investigation. Count 10 alleges that on or about June 3rd, 2024, the defendant did with purpose to deprive the owner, Volunteers of America store, of property or services to wit.
And the bailiffs are appropriately just watching the dad. I could not imagine standing that close to the person that y'all know I have a son. He's actually sitting right over here reading. Happy summer. I could not imagine. I just yeah. So that's why we're gonna get to his statement in just a moment. I think it's important.
Knives knowingly obtain or exert control over either the property or services without the consent of the owner or the person authorized to give consent. I have now read the indictment to you. Do you wish to enter a plea of not guilty?
Sí,
Pardon me?
sí.
And now she's answering in Spanish. So she's answering the judge in Spanish.
What's same mean? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I understand the victims are represented and they want to make a comment before I step on. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Could you start with your name?
My name is Jared Wood, father of deceased, husband of Margot. Your Honor, that day, 1 week ago, she took everything from us. There's nothing that could ever replace my son or anything that my wife and I, or even our other kids, are going through. It's horrendous. And I really wish no bail, period, or extend it to the max limit possible that you can, at the very least. Just do whatever you can to keep this monster behind bars.
Keep this
Thank you,
monster
sir. Is there
behind
anything else
bars.
you would like to say?
That'll be it. Thank
Okay.
you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
The strength that had to take to come in and do this and to say this and to keep his composure. So Jared Wood, father of Julian Wood.
Is there anything else before I pronounce bond?
Your Honor, we would just ask that you consider assigning the public defender's office, recognizing this is not our number. We did represent her at the first appearance unit. I did meet with her on Friday. We have had contact with her family and begun working on the case. Thank you, Your Honor.
When the original bond was set out of Muni Court, the bond was set at $1 million, and it was before the passing of one of the alleged victims. I do not believe that bond is appropriate given the change in circumstances and the allegations that are contained in this indictment. Bond is set at $5 million, cash, surety, or property. GPS, no contact with any surviving victim or victim's family. DNA order. Judge is John Russo. Pretrial is June 17th at 9 a.m. I'll sign.
So the pretrial is going to be June 17th. This case is so sad. I wanted to share the page for the GoFundMe, and I will once again link this down in the description. And this is for the tragic loss of Julian Wood. And these funds are raised on behalf of Jared Wood. And so if anyone feels like they would like to go and donate, once again, I will have this down in the description. One of the reasons why I share these cases is because there are psychological aspects that come up. And I am a believer that people can have serious mental health conditions and still be held legally responsible for their behavior. Her actions do not seem completely erratic. There seems to be some thought and planning. She does come off as kind of psychotic, but just because a person is psychotic does not necessarily mean that they can't be held legally responsible for their behavior. I do not know what's going on with her specifically. I'm just saying, based on the videos I've seen, based on what I've heard, based on her attorney's statements, there does seem to be a serious mental health condition. And the thing that pops up for me is potential psychosis, this break with reality, this lack of really connecting with the here and now and being able to meaningfully participate in her defense. I would not be surprised if competency came up if she was not able to participate with her attorneys, or if she was still engaging in some of these behaviors. Come June 17th, I could see them raising potential competency issues, but that would take her from, sometimes, depending on the state, it can depend. But I know in Virginia, that often means transferring to the state mental hospital, the forensic unit, to have competency restored. It sounds like her public defender is trying to get her back on her medication, and that alone might help with any potential issues with competency. If y'all have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.